Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Danelle here at Networkchain. Hope this finds you doing well. Let's go ahead and get started with the cryptocurrency market update. As you can see, Bitcoin is basically flat over the past week. It's currently trading at $108,928. We see Ethereum still above that $2,500 range. It's up about 1.63%. We see that XRP is currently trading above 2.5%, trading at $2.26. Solana is down about 1.3% at $150. We see that Tron is still in the top 10, currently trading at number 8 at 28 cents. Dogecoin, the biggest meme coin of them all, currently trading at 17 cents, and that's basically flat over the past week. And then Cardano rounding out the top 10, up nearly 1% at around 58 cents. So we can look here at the Bitcoin chart and we can see that over the last couple of months we've kind of been ranging between the $100,000 and $110,000 range. So it's good to see that we're kind of staying above and looking to continue to keep 100,000 at that support. And if that's possible, then we could potentially see a leg up. As you can see here, if we go from 2024, we had in an accumulation phase where we were ranging for several months, and then we had that parabolic move up towards the end of 2024. Then you can see again that we had a nice range going, and then we broke down a little bit earlier in the year, a few months ago, and now you can see that we've made another leg up, and now we're ranging between that $100,000 and $110,000 range. So is it possible that we could then take that leg up next towards 120,000, potentially breaking all-time highs? That's definitely a possibility, but we could also see a breakdown. If we go back to 2021, we definitely had some different economic factors, macroeconomic factors that were in play, as well as what happened with the FTX debacle and bankruptcy. So there was a lot of things that were happening in 2021, and then the entire market, as well as U.S. global stocks as well, went into a bear market in 2022, and we saw this low going all the way down, going towards the end of 2022. So we've been basically on a nice run since the beginning of 2023. We have definitely seen a massive turnaround in Bitcoin, as well as a lot of other cryptocurrencies since 2 years ago. So could we continue to see this trajectory move up? That's definitely a possibility, because we continue to see more money flowing in from the traditional finance system. So you can see here that we now have seen a new ETF, this now with Solana, which is one of the top cryptocurrencies in the cryptocurrency market. It now has a Solana staking ETF that just hit the market over this past week. It's Rex Osprey's Solana staking ETF, and in its first day of trading on July 3rd, it had 12 million in inflows. So that is definitely a nice first day of trading on the U.S. public markets. And you can see here that it debuted on the CBOE BZX exchange on Wednesday, and it recorded 33 million total trading volume, and then we had 12 million of inflows coming into that ETF. So the fund, which is trading under the ticker SSK, will give investors direct exposure to Solana, and it will also have access to the yield. So it's basically going to be like a dividend. Solana is going to be set aside in a cold wallet with cold storage by Rex Osprey and whoever their providers are for cold wallet storage. And then also what will happen is they will be staking that Solana, and then that Solana, those dividends from that staking will be now transferred over to the investors in the ETF. So it's basically going to have another way for people to, particularly in their retirement accounts, for example, be able to take advantage of staking indirectly, basically through this Solana ETF. So it's definitely something that is groundbreaking when it comes to something coming to traditional finance relating to cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency staking, and that's a major part and a major way that crypto is able to not only secure the network through staking, but be able to provide basically dividends to those who are staking and are large stakeholders in a particular cryptocurrency. Ethereum is proof of stake, as well as Solana. So now investors in the traditional markets will be able to take advantage of that through this SSK ETF, and there are more that are incoming. So you can see here This is the rexshares.com website, and you can learn a little bit more about SXK and how you can see that crypto staking is now hitting Wall Street. You have effortless ETF access and be able to have those staking rewards built in. So feel free to go over there and check out more information about the net asset value of the current ETF, as well as a little bit more information with regards to the discount premium, the shares outstanding, etc., and the management fee. As you can see here, it's at 0.75%. So when we go to Bitcoin treasuries, we see that the ETFs, and this is particularly just Bitcoin, we see that now that BlackRock's Bitcoin Trust has now reached nearly 700,000 Bitcoin on the balance sheet, and we're seeing that the success of this Bitcoin ETF and all the other Bitcoin ETFs since they launched last January of 2024 is that there's definitely demand that continues to come into the cryptocurrency space. We see MicroStrategy as a public company is getting closer to 600,000. Potentially in the next week or two, we shall see them reach that 600,000 mark. But there definitely is still institutional demand, as well as demand from retail that's coming into cryptocurrency. So we're seeing that that Bitcoin, as well as other cryptocurrencies now, are definitely starting to get access to the U.S. public markets as well as traditional finance. So that definitely is showing that there's a possibility that the cryptocurrency market as a whole will continue to grow into more trillions that could potentially be coming into the market. You can see here that BlackRock, their ETF, their Bitcoin ETF is actually outpacing the S&P 500 fund in fee revenue. So just in over a year, and they've had that S&P 500 fund for I believe decades at this point, and now you see that the Bitcoin ETF is generating more fee revenue than their S&P 500. So it's just another indication of how much demand is coming into the space, how much demand is coming into Bitcoin, and how interested institutions as well as other investors are in investing in this hard asset. So, and we're still basically at the very beginning. There's still a lot of investment advisors that still are unable to suggest Bitcoin to be put on the balance sheet. But as soon as that happens, there's a possibility that maybe 0.5% or even 1% of all investable assets, or I should say money that's coming into the stock market, could then be allocated to Bitcoin. And if that's the case, then we could see Bitcoin go from being a $2 trillion asset to maybe a $3 or $4 trillion asset, and then up from there. So there's definitely a way that we could see the trajectory of Bitcoin potentially reaching the potential of gold, which is still currently, I believe, around 12 to 13 trillion currently right now. So there's definitely a pathway to Bitcoin potentially seeing 500,000, maybe even 1 million down the line. But obviously that's likely years and years away, but it's definitely a possibility. So I obviously will continue to keep you posted on what happens when it comes to Bitcoin and the amount of inflows that are coming not only into these ETFs, but into Bitcoin as a whole. So we go to Grayscale, which is another ETF, Bitcoin ETF issuer. And they actually used to have over 600,000 Bitcoin in their ETF, but because their ETF fees were a lot higher and are a lot higher in many cases than some of the other Bitcoin ETFs, they saw a lot of outflows going into the BlackRock ETF holding, as well as other ETFs. But they do have a bunch of other trusts, and they have been one of the pioneers when it comes to an institution that has been investing in digital assets for over a decade at this point. So they're definitely one of the first larger firms that have invested in digital assets, and they have a large cap fund that is currently a trust, and they did get SEC approval to be able to trade, but it has been put on pause. But they will at some point have this trust converted into an ETF, and it contains basically the top 5 cryptocurrencies by weighting, as well as through liquidity and trading. And those cryptos, of course, includes Bitcoin, and then it also includes Solana, XRP, Cardano, and Ethereum. So the asset manager Grayscale has called the U.S. SEC Commission's decision to halt the release of its digital large cap fund, unexpected when they did decide to halt that release onto the public markets. But it looks like over time that definitely will be changed. But currently, given all of the regulatory changes and what's happening in DC, we shall see what happens over time. But obviously, there's still a lot that's coming out when it comes to the Genius Act, which relates to stablecoin legislation. There's going to continue to be more regulation when it comes to cryptocurrencies, particularly when it comes to cryptocurrencies being traded on the public market. So obviously, it's going to take some time, but we do have this Solana staking ETF. Most likely, this fund that includes some of the top cryptocurrencies will be also trading soon thereafter. So we'll continue to keep you posted on what's happening in traditional finance. Of course, stay tuned, I should say, with us on X as well as IG. We'll continue to keep you posted there as usual. We thank you so much for watching. We just wanted to give you a quick little recap of some of the news of the past week. Hope you're doing well, and we look forward to linking up with you soon on the Networkchain. In the meantime, take care. Bye-bye.